Welcome back again to all. So, we concluded 6 sessions, beginning from duality, diversity, karma, time factor, three modes of material nature, then randomness and predictability. And today we are going to discuss about certainty and uncertainty. Our focus had been up until now to see how the material creations works very systematically. It's a very objective reality. For functioning of the material world, you need more knowledge, intelligence. Based on that, you develop a shraddha. Just like if you're driving in a car, why you choose a particular car? Because you know that company has produced many such cars and many people have brought. So therefore you drive that car. So we focused on how systems make this material world work. And this subject today, predictability and unpredictability, gives rise to another aspect while integrating whatever we have learned. The karma principle continued to function. Duality continues to function. Predictability, material, the mechanistic, the operating principle, that continue to operate. But here something very interesting, where Krishna speaks about something which is not based upon our understanding of data science, how this world works. He brings another principle, the principle of unpredictability. How can there be unpredictability in the nature when the nature itself is very coherent and functioning properly? Is it not contradiction? And that is the topic of today. Where does God come in the picture? Where does our faith come in the picture? Where does our positivity come in the picture? And why should we accept unpredictability as one of the predictable reality of life? Right? Where does unpredictability come? Unpredictability comes when you are not prepared, when you are incoherent, when the things are not functioning properly. Right? If you want to organize an event, you have a checklist. Right? You go through that hundreds of times, many times. And when you see that everything has gone according to as it is planned, sparing few things here and there, that doesn't bother you as long as you do not have the phobia of perfection. Right? So all what we discussed is not cancelled. But what we are discussing today is integrating with what we have discussed. And this is the words of Krishna. What does Krishna say? The very person whom many believe, those who practice Vaishnavism, they believe that he is the Supreme Brahman, right? So that very Supreme Brahman in the very Bhagavad Gita chapter is making one important claim. This claim is the claim of assurance, the claim of predictability. And what does he predict? He predicts about duality of life, not guaranteeing the result of life. In the second chapter of the 37th verse, Krishna says, Hatva praptasi swargam, jitva ba bhokshase mahi. Tasmad uttishta kauntaya yudhaya krita nishchaya. What did Krishna tell Arjuna? He said, it doesn't matter, Arjun. What is it? It doesn't matter because nobody can guarantee whether you'll win or you will lose. Jitwa or hatwa, you may win or you may die. But that does not matter. What matters is you have a duty to perform in victory or defeat. If you win, you enjoy the kingdom. If you die, you experience the higher planetary position. In either condition, you are supposed to fight. Now the question is raised, okay, you discussed all this thing, predictability, there is no randomness, the material world is functioning so systematically. Then the person who is supposed to have a complete control over the world, how could he speak something like this? Unpredictability. Let us come there. In the entire Bhagavad Gita, bearing two places, in the 11th chapter, what does Krishna do? He does not guarantee Arjuna for his victory just because he is practicing his devotion. He does not guarantee Arjuna just because he's a great archer. You have to work to be a great archer. You have to work to be a good archer. You have to work hard to become better person in regards to your skill. Better quality of skill does not guarantee, even if you have better performance, right? Recently somebody broke or somebody made a very rare record of taking all the 10 wickets in a test match, right? An Indian guy from Mumbai playing for another country, taking all the 10 wickets of India. But still, his performance did not conclude in the success of his team. The team failed miserably, right? So, this dynamic of life makes us understand from the operating principle, material world is very systematic and organized as a machine. But in regards to execution, when there are humans are involved, the million dynamics are involved. In that condition, even the Supreme Lord does not guarantee you. He can, but he would not. He allows the uncertainty to be part of our system, our growth, and therefore in the entire Bhagavad Gita, it did not promise Arjuna that you will win for sure. His communication to Arjuna, your valor can be sure, your performance can be sure, but victory is not within your hand, right? Again, in the second chapter, we read, Karmana evadikaraste ma phalechu kadachan. Now, this is a very interesting, very confusing for most people, even though there is nothing to be confused. If you put little bit your, common sense, not even brain also, what does this verse say? Apparently, this verse says, Arjuna, you are entitled to your responsibility. You are right to perform your duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your activities. Now, this is the catch, right? Why in the world somebody would do work while he has been told that you are not entitled to the fruits of your activities? Doesn't make sense, right? But if you hear carefully, go a little more deeper and use your common sense, then you realize what Krishna is speaking here is that it is but natural that every action there is the consequences. Every kriya has a pratikriya. So that is an understood reality all over. It's a common sense. You don't need scripture for it. It's an observational reality. right? I slap somebody, maybe very small, weak, 4-year-old child. What is the retaliation? The child will cry, the child will scream, the child will be angry, the child will be, traumatized, right? Or if the child is stronger in valor, if he'll make a fist showing, I will also give you back, right? It is common to understand there is a reaction. Then the question is raised, then why Krishna is saying that, you are not entitled to the fruits of activities. So this is what brings the principle of uncertainty, right? You're right to perform your duties, but you're not entitled to the fruits of activities. Your action are extremely coherent, but the consequences, because of the dynamic how it works, they are uncertain, therefore do not have entitlement. It is common sense it will come, but don't have an entitlement, right? So therefore the whole concept of bringing this uncertainty in our life give rise to taking shelter of something which is beyond us. I think in the very first day or second day we were discussing, during the material revolution, 15th, 16th century, the Europe experienced a renaissance. What was it? It was a scientific discovery. The scriptural text coming from Bible were falling apart among the scientific community. They could realize there is a lot of incoherence in regards to creation. There is a lot of incoherence in regards to how it functions. So the scientific community in one sense rebelled with logic. When they rebelled with logic, we can figure out how it works. So they began by being actively atheistic, not necessarily with God, but in the system what they'd experienced, the institution what they'd experienced, the knowledge what they'd experienced had so many flaws according to them. So because of that, they decided we don't need God. If this is how God can make such a silly mistakes about creation, we don't need God. We can do without him. So scientific community decided to discover the depth of knowledge. But at some point of time, they realized, many of them, there is something which evades us. There is something which is beyond us. There is some power which brings us closer to certain reality and makes us evade that. And there are some reality where you have not yet decided about that, and suddenly there is a eureka experience. Oh my God, I'm getting it there now. I'm there. Then they started questioning themselves. Is it worth advisable to be so arrogant in regards to completely exploring, discovering every sphere of creation? They realize it is not possible. So please understand, even the best of the brain from the scientific community, they stop at some level of reality. Without beyond that, they have no access. They have no access only, right? So therefore, the predictability gives rise to confidence, and unpredictability beyond our comprehension gives rise to Shraddha. Please understand. ये दोनों बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है. They are very important. Shraddha without Atmavishwas. Confidence and Shraddha, they go together. Arjuna had a confidence about his skill and he had faith in the grace of Lord. And that is the concept of Purushartha and Daiva, which unfortunately most scientific minded people fail to recognize this. They have a theory. There is talent, there is potential, there is hard work, there is opportunity, 10,000 work, and you become successful. Correct. It is not wrong. It is correct. But that correct has to be also flavored. There has to be another layer, the layer of something beyond this for correct principle. Right? You know what happens when things are completely rhythmic? They're good to look at, like a march past, like we saw the great general Bipin Rawat and his team members along with his wife, crashed very unfortunately with all the systems, right? So they have been honored. They deserve that honor. And when they honor, there are different kinds of walking. March past. Similarly, in the temple towns, if you go to Tamil Nadu, if you go to Karnataka, so there is Hasti walk. There is horse walking when they're taking the Lord in the palanquin. But that is not possible at all the time. You cannot be walking like that. Oh, 7, 8 people are walking together like that. You can't, because you want to walk in your own speed. Right? So when predictability is there, it is good to look at for some time, but life can never always be a march past. March past is a part of an event of your life, which is an official event. It is not a spontaneous event. Just imagine if a society figures out everything and creates a pattern for everything. How much food? Everybody sits and everybody is eating one roti only. Everybody is eating 15 grams of rice only. Or for that matter, they've figured out specifically what you need to eat, what she needs to eat, what he needs to eat. And then accordingly, everybody gets their own quota. Everything is mechanized. There is a chances that your health will grow. Your bodily structure will grow. But what will cause trouble to you is an emotional imbalance. Right? That will create an emotional imbalance. Therefore, system is required for us to develop confidence and unpredictability. The realities of life require faith for us to grow. When confidence and faith come together, then it is a combination of your endeavor, your talent, your potential, your hard work, your opportunities. But the fifth factor, which is not within our control, that is called as Daiva. And what does Shraddha do? Shraddha gives rise to excitement. Shraddha gives rise to desire to move forward. If everything as it is, what is going to happen, then what happens? It creates a redundant. Therefore, pattern creates boredom. If the pattern is as it is all the time, then it creates boredom. It is different from Ratam. Seasons are different from patterns. Therefore, this one investment person was explaining, Nasir Taleb, very interesting point he made, that this big data, the big data, artificial intelligence, they have figured out so much precisely. The machines trade in the stock market. The machines are trading in the stock market. There will be time, it is already happening, the machines will perform surgery much more with a greater precision than the best of the doctors. Everything will be navigated in such a way that you are like a product in the factory. When you become a product in the factory, that productivity based upon mechanistic reality has the power to create boredom in our life. Therefore, only order creates boredom. Only chaos creates a depression, fear. So what is it? It's a combination of uncertain certainty, predictability and unpredictability. Therefore, what Arjuna did was Arjuna chose for the predictable reality, he was the boss. But for the unpredictability, it was Krishna's vision for him. Therefore, Sanjay in the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita made an interesting point. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara. What is this in one sense? Arjuna represents controlled predictability. And Krishna, when he comes in Arjuna's life, he represents that side of Arjuna which causes regular unpredictability. So when there is Krishna for the unpredictability and there is Arjuna for the predictability, where is the chance for others to win? When there is an order and chaotic condition, when there is a harmonize, which Arjuna represents, what Pandavas represent, what Pandava army represents, so there is no chance for you to win. If you see Duryodhan is like a big data scientist. He had collected all the resources. He cheated the Pandavas and he was successful. That way it's a success story. Right? He had the power to have Dronacharya, Krupacharya, Bhishma work for him. He even tempted Shalya, and Shalya joined the Kauravas. Bhurishrava, the great personality. Right? So when all joined Duryodhan, so Duryodhan had everything figured out. Therefore, in the first chapter, if you study Duryodhana's confidence, in the 10th verse of the first chapter, he said, hey, teacher, my army protected by Bhishma, you and others is larger in number. And the army of the Pandavas protected by Bhima is much smaller. So there was an external arrogance, there was external confidence. So what pattern does, when predictability does, it makes you redundant, it makes you lethargic, it makes you complacent, means all of us, right? We become complacent. We become overconfident. But the uncertainty, the uncertain reality has the power to jolt from our comfort position. It makes us adventurous. No? It makes us tough, valorous people. Somebody sent a video of the Viragati, one who got the Viragati. We don't call as martyr, we call it Viragati. That is the terminology used in the scripture. Those who achieved Viragati, their wives, their children are speaking, and you should see that. Just now somebody sent me a message, one lady, her husband passed away. He was from Mumbai, Rane. He laid down his life. But then his young wife joined army as an officer, taking care of her baby. So what is that? It is not an event of their husband's life, and the wife was part of that event. It was not an event of their life. I'm not saying everybody like that, but that is the spirit of the soldier, right? It is not an event of their life. It is a character. Therefore, whether it is a good event or a bad event, death or life, Param Veera Chakra or Param Gati, either one of them, what does not do? It causes pain. The separation, the pain of separation will be there. But the pain of separation, the duality does not have the power to change their character because it is not an event of their life. Where do you get that faith? How do you get that faith? So therefore, it is an interesting and important principle. We have to remember and understand this principle of Arjuna and Krishna. So when we invoke the power of God, which represents dealing with uncertainty, that give rise to hope. Therefore, one great saintly person, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, had said that hopelessness is sign of atheism. Hopelessness is sign of atheism. And what is theism? Theism is endless hope that I will move forward in life. If not today, tomorrow. If not this lifetime, next lifetime. My limitation, my hurdles, my obstacles, my diseases, my blunders, my mistakes do not have the power to hold me forever, because these are simply some events of life, maybe more events which are negative compared to positive compared to others, but they're simply event of life, as we were discussing in our time lecture. But the time is so powerful, it will make me feel insignificant about what happened. Where do you get that faith from? That faith comes from, that Shraddha comes from understanding how the cycle of life works and the element of God, right? And therefore, whichever country has more pattern, like America, very organized. So what do? They create these games, basketball, rugby, lawn tennis, right? So what do this game do? These games create an adrenal rush, because abhi kya hoga? Who will win? Who will win? Who will? So they create that artificial adrenal rush because of uncertainty professionally created, and the entire stadium is going crazy. People are going, they're breathing. Those who created the system, they are the one who disrupt the system to the people so that they go through all kinds of high emotions, low emotions. And when somebody wins according to your choice, then you sigh relief. Oh, wow. I remember when Javed Mianda hit a sixer, to the bowling of the famous Chetan Sharma, right? What a painful it was. It shook the existence of young children. They were shocked. They couldn't believe, how could this happen? What is that? That uncertainty has the power to make us valorous. Therefore, Krishna, Supreme Brahman, what does he do? He creates this combination of certainty based upon place of action, instrument for action, action itself, and our involvement. And he adds this principle which is called as Daiva. Therefore, somebody says the mathematic of the creation is very interesting. The maths of the creation is very interesting. How is it interesting? The interesting mathematics of this creation is, 99% is your endeavor, systematic endeavor, a predictable reality, certainty. And there is 1%, the element of uncertainty, which we call as grace of God, grace of Narayan, grace of Krishna, grace of Lord Ramachandra. When our endeavor 99% and the 1% of this person, the Lord, they are combined, they become 100%. Not so easily, they don't become 100 like that. The 99% of our endeavor turns into 1% in regards to consequences. They become 1% in regards to consequences. And the 1% of that faithfulness, putting that faith in God, has the power to make it 99. In action, you cannot say, if everything is under control of God only, why should I perform so hard work? No, the God's contribution is only 1%. My contribution is 99%. That 1% contribution of God creates such an uncertainty in our life. Unless we have that, everything organized, everything systematized, because that 1% is missing, people have depression. But if that 1% comes in somebody's life, what happens? That 1% has the impact of 99%, and that 99% has the impact of 1%. So where is the question of arrogance? Therefore, the great mind, the great contributors, the real steadily achievers in regards to contributing to the society, they have a very clear philosophy. They may sound arrogant when they speak, confident in their job, but there is a deep humility, realizing that this was not me. This could have not happened from me. How could this happen? What is the reality this could happen? So therefore, in the Mahabharata, what does the Lord do? The Lord brings this concept called as Daiva. He brings this concept, and that Daiva is represented by Vyasadeva in the Mahabharata. What does Vyasa do? Vyasadeva, he tells the Pandavas, he tells Dhritarashtra as if he's a fortune teller. And how does he tell? He tells in such a way to the Pandavas that remains as an assurance on the background. That never comes on the forefront. The result of the future, even though they've heard from Vyasadeva, that does not stop them from functioning, because that will stop you from functioning. If you become so fixed about, everything is going to happen according to Vyasadeva, he's the greatest fortune teller, so why should I work like that? So they had the yoga of keeping the future bright result in a cold storage. Not in a wrong sense. It's there, but I need to work hard to get there. No? Just like in the Pandavas, in their incognito, right? Things were going as they had planned. Everything was all right. Nobody recognized them. Sorry, 12 years they're not supposed to be recognized. They wandered around, they maintained their life, they grew manifold. Now, last 1 year was there. And just before that 1 year, just while they were concluding the 12th year of exile, the Pandavas fell for a greatest disaster. They became thirsty. Now, who in the world will say thirst gives rise to death? पानी पीने से क्या फर्क पड़ता है? What is it makes you lose? Water, you are drinking water, but the desire to drink water to the Pandavas caused their death. One by one. Nakula fell, Sahadev fell, Arjuna fell, and Bhima fell. While drinking that water, they fell. Beyond unconscious stage, they were almost dead. And then Yudhishthira was looking. You can imagine, we have done seminar on Yaksha Prashna. It's amazing questions asked by Yaksha. And Yudhishthira is coming there. And he is the one heard from the Brahmanas, the learned people, that they will rule the kingdom. They will, basically grow nicely in life. Right? So what he sees there, every one of his brother, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, are completely dead. And Yudhishthira himself is thirsty. He wants to drink water. But he sees all his 4 brothers are dead. लेकिन पानी का प्यास इतना ज्यादा था, it was so much. So with great lamentation, he went to drink water while seeing the dead body of his brother. You can imagine what he must have gone through. So this reality also is part of the systematic creation. It is not that God is consciously disseminating this situation so that you can learn. You can learn without misery also, right? And you can learn with luxury also. Rather, use your resources rightly. That we will discuss. The resources can only make people do good things. When Yudhishthir saw, he was traumatized, he was shocked. But that's how the life is. And he was about to drink water because that's how the life is. However poor, however hungry you are, however experiencing you're going through lamentation, great lamentation, you have not eaten 3 days, and something what Yudhishthira Maharaj is experiencing has happened. Body will need that water. Then he will do. But then he heard the voice, stop it, don't drink. Same thing will happen to you. And the question answer between Yudhishthira and Yaksha, right, it is brilliant. The answer, question is abstract, answer is, right, concrete. But Yudhishthira's answers were dynamic. They gave rise to more question in the heart of, Yaksha. Right? After that, he gave a benediction. Come back to the story. He gave a benediction to the Yudhishthira Maharaj. Everybody revived. He said, you know what? Since you have done very well, I was that person. I tested you. Now, I want you to understand for next 1 year, you will live in incognito, unrecognized by anybody. And that Yaksha, who's none other than Yamaraj, gave him all the resources not to be seen by the enemies, the Kauravas. Right? What a predictable reality he gave. Nobody will catch you. Please read that 1 year of Pandavas incognito in Virata Parva. They had faith in the words of this Rishi, but the reality was they were in anxiety if we get caught. And therefore, when Yudhishthira Maharaj saw Draupadi run to Virata being abused, about to be abused by Kichaka, he said, don't uproot the tree in public place. Go elsewhere. So he was telling Bhima, don't do anything harm to this Kichak because we will be exposed. So he was right. If he's exposed, then again they have to go back for 12 years, for 1 year. But again, the human dynamics is, Draupadi told Bhima, he said, hey, look, you are waiting for your fulfilling the vow, but I cannot pass you on 1 day. If this man harasses me, I will give up my life. How could you allow this to happen? You want 14 years, you want 13 years to complete, or you want your Draupadi back home? You choose what you want. What is it? It's a dynamic caused by uncertainty of emotional nature. Then Bhima had to leave. Okay, I'll go and kill him. Don't worry. He didn't tell his brother Yudhishthira because there were the chances that he would stop. Right? Now, who is Yudhishthira? He's Yamaraj. From the astrological perspective, he represents Shani. Right? And who is Draupadi? Draupadi is fire. Always moving fast. Right? So therefore, she wants to move fast. And Yudhishthira Maharaj said, wait. So therefore, you can't go and tell him. Right? It is like our teacher was telling us, moon is a creativity sign. And Shani is a limitation sign. Shani tells you limitation and moon tells you limitless potential. And that moon is represented by Krishna only, Chandra Vamsha. So when Arjuna knows his predictable reality and he has Chandra in the form of Krishna, what does it do? That harmony gives rise to having the power to handle the chaos and this reality. So what did the Pandavas do? They got all the benediction, nobody will catch you. But they changed their dress. They were hiding so many places. They were careful not to be caught. When Bhima killed knowing very well this could expose us, he killed so nicely. So nicely means it was gruesome the way Kichak was killed. And when Kichak was killed, the news went everywhere. Oh, Kichak is killed, Kichak is killed, Kichak is killed. Nobody could have killed him. Some Gandharvas came and killed. And then the news reached the Kauravas also. So universe does not create the unpredictability in our life. It is based upon how we temper the universe by very nature, what the living entity human being has. We experience unpredictability in the world. And therefore, what Krishna is doing to Arjuna, he is telling Arjun, win or defeat is not within your hand. Are Krishna came as a peacemaker, right? He came as a peacemaker. Like I had one thing to discuss eventually. The limitation of God. Is there a limitation to God? Is there a limitation to God? Absolutely, he has no limitation. The whole definition of Brahman means ever expanding, even though it's complete. Brahat means what? It is not simply big. It is big, it is Brahat and always expanding. उसकी कोई सीमा नहीं है. असीमित होने पर भी वो बढ़ता जाता है. Even though it's limitless, it's still growing. Right? So that limitless personality was still growing. When he came as the peacemaker to Duryodhana, he was not able to convince Duryodhana. He failed in his mission. Right? He failed in his mission to convince Duryodhana. Because the organic principles have some reality beyond the predictable mechanistic reality. Therefore, even the doctors are able to figure out exact problem for a patient and make particular medicine of that degree. You want crocin, 12.3.6 for you because all the permutation and combination. And they would send it. Eventually that would happen. And what that would do, that would eliminate many doctors in one sense. But still human being, after showing all that report, seeing all that report, when he goes to a doctor is not a machine. Doctor is a spirit. That's the character of a doctor. What does he do? Beyond the medical report, he tries to cure the patient by different methodology. So what does it explain to us? The predictable reality is not sufficient for us. The element of unpredictable reality, when comes into our picture, then our growth cycle, which is a harmony between confidence and Shraddha, gives rise to ability to deal with this world with gratitude. So therefore, the human being, for however smart he or she is, however observant they might be, which they need to be, that part cannot be cancelled. But in the core of their heart, they look for certain miracles. And what is miracle? Miracle is nothing but accepting the reality of our limitation. This is my reality. This is my limitation. I could go up to here. Beyond that, I have no control. It's only the miracle. So that miracle could be life. That miracle could be death. That miracle could be, giving so many profound realization to people. Right? So therefore, miracles are not predictable. If it is predictable, then it's a machine. So let us have the machine of predictable reality, and let have the spirit of unpredictable reality of miracle. When a man experiences this combination of predictability and unpredictability, then he develops such a courage in his life. He knows what will happen to me. Max, what will happen? I'll conclude with this today's talk. You know, like one Ayurvedic doctor was telling me, he said, one of the greatest tragedy in the modern world, people want to have a safe, good record, to see that their records are not bad. We want to have 98% success rate. We want to have 99% success rate. Therefore, some tuition teachers only take those who are extremely intelligent beyond 90%, train them only. So the results are very high. We only give results. They don't say we only take people who are 90% above, but they say we give results beyond 90%. Right? That's a marketing gimmick. But here, when we see the miracle, the unpredictable reality, putting that faith, especially in God, that harmony between mechanistic, intellectual, system coherency, and the flow of the heart, when they come together, then what does it do? It harmonizes the predictable and unpredictability. When there is a harmonization of predictable and unpredictability, you continue to walk your journey without stop. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very hope-giving that there is an element of Deva. We see questions. Yes, as always, we have Harshi, who raised his hand. Harshi, can you please unmute yourself and ask a question?
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for the nice class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have been contemplating. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have been contemplating over all the series, and one word which is coming again and again, which is harmony, like the harmony between the moment and the present, and the mechanistic and the uncertainty. So, can you just elaborate on this word harmony? Because for me, harmony was still in music, unfortunately, because I'm from a STEM background. Harmony means coordination, that's all. So if you can just elaborate what the word harmony from your perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, that is what the harmony principle is possible through the principle of yoga only. Next 3 days in the morning, we are doing this 3 sessions covering six chapters, where we'll cover the principle of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga, right? Based upon how Krishna is presenting in the Gita, with the commentaries of Prabhupada and all the great acharyas. So therefore, without that harmony, there is a entire creation, whether it is a music. I remember reading this book called as Biology of Belief, Biology of Belief. And this microbiologist, in his introduction, he talks about Indian thought process, and he talks about genetics. The cell also operates from that principle only. There are predictable cells and there are unpredictable cells. So unpredictable cells create evolution, progression, and predictable cell create the foundation, right? So therefore, what does yoga do? Yoga has the power to create balance between blind following and arrogantly logical, right? The scientific community, some scientists, because everywhere there are radical people, they become so radical. They were nowhere compared to Einstein. They were nowhere compared to Newton. They were nowhere compared to some of the famous mind. Having humility to understand, we can only explore this much. But somebody has a PhD, somebody, they are a worshipper of their science rather than discoverers. So they are the one who started speaking, we don't need God, we can figure out everything on our own. Recently, I was listening to one talk from the artificial intelligence, from the Google. Somebody was giving, oh God, I saw he was talking like a small child, explaining the entire process what they are doing in regards to mechanistic growth, but not even realizing that in the COVID, what happened to them. There was a practical observational reality. So therefore, harmony is possible through the principle of Karma Yoga, what Krishna is speaking in the Gita. It is possible through Bhakti Yoga. It is possible through Ashtanga Yoga. It is possible to Jnana Yoga. Jnana gives awareness. Karma Yoga gives action and the flavor of devotion. When it is there, then that harmony, like a bicycle ride, it will become a reality. It's a journey. It will happen. Now we are simply understanding it, trying to explore it. Then eventually that become part of our existence because it's the highest concept. Yoga concept is the highest concept. So naturally, it will take a time for us to experience. Now it is simply a thought, a philosophy.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. We have Shirodkar ji who has a question.
Good. I've also taken my wife's last name. Lovely. But identity doesn't matter. But very quickly, Guruji, thank you very much. So profound and so nice. Again, reflecting on what you've been sharing, so the whole process around embracing unpredictably, does it have anything to do with, so if we basically not worry about the fruit or the consequence or the outcome of our actions, does that in a certain sense lead to a better ability to deal with unpredictability? Because oftentimes we just so caught up with what the outcome of our action will be, what will be the outcome of a certain discussion. And hence, to that extent, does it also mean, because in a certain sense, and I was just, all of this was just interconnecting in my head in a certain sense. And when we start thinking about the outcome, we're not being completely present in the present. So in us not worrying about the outcome and in us being completely present in the present, are we in a certain sense becoming better at embracing unpredictability?
Very good, very fun. That is what the whole principle of Nishkam Karma. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not speaking anything poetic. He is only speaking brutal, practical reality with a poetic, heart. Nothing. It is not idealism. It is practicality, which is flavored with beautiful idealism. So you answered your own question. Just like a sports person. Again, let us take the example of cricketer. Life is like a test match, not like a T20. Because in test cricket, since all of us we know, in test cricket, it is not only the skill. You need patience also. It is not only the patience. You need determination also. It is not only the patience, determination. You should also know about your statistics. What is your last few matches, how much you have scored. Right? So the last few matches, if your average is 10, 12, 13, it has the power to impact your present. Not scoring in the previous match does not stop you from getting another chance. If not in the test match, you can play club match, but you keep playing.
Correct.
So only when you're focused in present, the past will not bind you. And therefore, Nishkama Karma means what? Samachittatvam. And only those who are Samachitva, facing that ball alone. Doesn't matter what happened in the previous ball. Our heart may be pouncing happy because I hit 6 or I was almost snicked to the wicket keeper. Doesn't matter. This ball, how are you going to deal with it? Your record, your 25 years of record doesn't matter. That is there for the statistic. But today, the present. So therefore, Krishna, the Samachittatvam. The Samachittatvam is different from the power of now, from the Buddhistic philosophy. What is the difference? The Samachittatvam does not cancel the past. We discussed in our time lecture. It doesn't cancel the future legacy, but you're operating from the present. Therefore, the Nishkama karma, as you understood very clearly, makes us so focused about today, now. And that now doesn't destroy your legacy of the past, and that now doesn't cancel the future legacy. No, because the result will come certainly. There will be consequences of our action. No? So therefore, there is a greater chance if I am practicing Nishkama karma to be successful more. So while speaking Nishkam karma, Krishna is giving a success formula. Success formula not only from the perspective of physical success, because success has the power to make us intoxicated and arrogant. And failure has the power to make us depressed and inactive. It is not only the physical result, but it has also the power on mental platform. But if I follow the Nishkama karma, then you become deadly. You become untouched by anybody. You become a powerhouse, right? But just imagine how much after hearing, and therefore we focus more on putting our imaginary faith in God, hoping that He will do something for me, some result He will give, rather than focusing on the advice He has given. Now, following the principle of Nishkam karma is a greater devotion than burdening God in the name of faith. Because He says, I'm teaching you something very wonderful, He says, but you're trying to hold my hand and becoming incompetent.
And potentially then, and just how this is, and I was just thinking about as you were talking about success and failure, because I was also thinking about that, not to celebrate success too much, and the whole equanimity piece, which we spoke about in terms of having an equanimous mind. I mean, what's emerging for me through this entire discourse, and thank you so much for this, is in us staying completely present in the present, potentially we're doing the 99% of what you just spoke about.
Yes, very much. Your capacity, your precision, your like you become like a sharp shooter who can shoot the target much better because you're focused.
Yeah, because in doing that one thing, we're doing 99% of what we need to do, and the other 1% is basically Devam.
Yes.
Thank you, Guruji. This was really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this 1%, which is the contribution of Deva, how do we really understand that? How does it work?
No, if you understand it, how does it Daiva then? Therefore, Krishna explains in the Gita, 3rd chapter, in the 4th chapter, Gahana Karmano Gati. You can have an indication, but you cannot predict about it. You have no control over it. Therefore, what is faith? Faith is not within your grasp. So the faith, the Shraddha, what we are talking, it is based upon the word Shraddha comes from the word Satya, Sat. It is an eternal reality. This much capacity you have to understand, but this is beyond you. And if you do not have faith, if you do not have hope, that hopelessness has the power to destroy all your rituals, make you faithless. Oh, this is all useless only because you're becoming burdensome to yourself because you want to understand everything. No, you understand what is within your capacity, that 99%. And that 1% which evades you, that is the game changer. Here, that 1% is like T20 match. No? 1-6 at the last ball changes the entire result. You could have never imagined. So therefore, let us not understand the 99%. You have the responsibility, You have the right, discover yourself, understand your resources, know your capacity, all that is within your control. But that 1%, don't try to touch it, because how can you understand that? That is beyond. That is called a Shraddha.
So my spiritual practices, can that influence the 1% in any way?
Your integral life, let us not separate spirituality with life itself, because spirituality and life, they're not different. The entire spirit of the living entity, whatever you do in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 55th verse, and the 9th chapter, where it is more devotionally connected, Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi Yat Jivoshi, where does Krishna is separating for Arjuna? Arjuna shooting arrows is material, and Arjuna's chanting is spiritual. Drinking water is material, and drinking Charanamrit is spiritual. Drinking Charanamrit gives you the ability to understand the water is also Charanamrit at the end of the day, because that is also coming from the Supreme Brahman only. Coming to the temple is an education for you to see that spirit everywhere. That is, otherwise, this is my temple life, it is spiritual, and this is my home life, this is material. It is totally unrealistic and not correct only. There is no bheda. Yakkarosha, and therefore in the 6th chapter we will deal that. One who can see God in everything and God, everything in God, he is never lost to him. That is the foundational principle of life. Some other we have to learn that. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. We have Pradeep Ji who would like to ask his question. Pradeep Ji,
Prabhuji, I really enjoyed all your sessions. Thank you so much. And my question is already asked. It is regarding that Karmanyeva Vikaraste. I have a little doubt, and it is many people ask me also. Of course, we should focus on our action, but until unless we desire for the result. So how to keep ourselves motivated to be in the present and focus on the current action? How to do that, Prabhuji?
Yeah, that's what yoga. Yoga is basically learning your bicycle properly, right? If you have never tried riding bicycle only, suddenly we hear one talk, then it's a process, right? If you just like if you see somebody knitting a cloth, it sounds easy because they are doing it. अरे मैं भी कर लेता हूँ. Try cutting a vegetable if you have never cut. It will be shapeless. And cook a sabji based upon a shapeless vegetable and see the taste. And go back to your grandmother or mother, your wife, if they're regularly cooking. Even the shape of the vegetable creates a taste. It is not only the masala. The way they actually, we can try this. Take all the best ingredients, cook with anger, move your spoon, steer your spoon in a wrong way all over everywhere, cut it wrongly, and see the difference. When you put water also in the if you put a cold water in the hot, something you're cooking, like if you're cooking rice and you realize water is less, if you put a cold water instead of hot water, the taste changes. This is harmony. This is yoga.
Okay, so by yogic practice, Prabhuji, we can move towards that Nishkam Karma.
Yeah, first understanding, there will be a result. There is no question of no result. How can Krishna is not talking something illogical and stupid? He expects us to have some common sense. No, there should not be such discussion. Oh, how can you say, Arey Baba, how can you ask that question? It's a universal reality. Every action there is consequences. He is only saying, don't feel entitled about that result. If you become entitled, then you become stubborn. You become stubborn, then you become a strike. Hamari mange pure karo. When you make a strike, it creates a loss. The same principle is applied. We are doing a strike with ourselves. No, I don't want to. I don't want to believe in this. This is all humbug. This is bogus. Right? So whose loss is it? The loss of my understanding, the loss of my action. I'm obsessed that I want the result, and that gives rise to depression.
Right, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. There's a question from Krishna Kishore Prabhu. He asks that a regular job is quite predictable while business seems unpredictable. So should we move towards, business in the direction of unpredictability to experience growth?
This is a very interesting, yesterday only I was reading something by this one famous writer called as Nassim Taleb. You must have, Deepak, you must have known, Krishna Kishore should also know about him. So he explained very interesting that now the present education is focused on machine learning and data science. That's a new thing. And I think we touched upon that in the beginning. So that gives rise to high predictability. And that high predictability will create a redundancy in the human being. So rather than teaching people how to take risk, no, you don't teach people how to take risk. People take risk because they see their surrounding. We have discussed many times, the Sindhis, the Marwadis, the Gujaratis, they left their village and somewhere, and somebody, said something, they moved out of their village, they came to some place, took that risk and became big. Now what we are teaching our people manage risk management rather than giving them the experience of risk taking. One regional language comedian is a philosopher comedian also. He was explaining nicely. He said the city parents, when they send their children for martial art, they tell the teacher, he should not get a kick. Huh? Are you are sending them to learn martial art. If they want to be tough martial artist, then they should be able to take the kicks. Or if you send them to running contest or make them train in running, while they're going, they're telling, the mother is telling, Array, see that, you don't run faster, other will get hurt. No, he's running. Jitna bhagega, as much as he runs faster, that much there is a greater chance of winning. So we are creating a generation of people who are learning to manage risk. Risk management is okay with numbers when you're doing accounts. You don't make a mistake, but it's not necessarily good for life. So it will experience, at one point of time, will experience redundancy. Therefore, I was giving, I think I did not complete that example of a doctor. An Ayurvedic doctor said, it is not about the number. Statistically, you are saying that I don't have a bad result by avoiding taking a most difficult patient. He said in Vaidya, the proper a doctor with a proper psychology, he takes most difficult cases, because only if he tries the most difficult cases, there are chances of survival. Otherwise, you have a good record. Nobody dies in mad hand, but people are dying because you are not willing to take. Right. So therefore, it is an important principle that unless people are willing to take some risk to grow, you cannot live a life of predictability. It is boring. At the end of the day, it will make you feel you are a coward. So that one has to discover, who am I? What is my capacity to grow? And based upon that, push little bit extra. That's what, again, Gita teaches. And what does it do? It gives rise to exciting experience of life.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, most of the principles you spoke about, they were called observed realities. Now, this one, can we also classify it as an observed reality for people who may not be, believers of God?
No, what you come back again? There, it is their observed reality.
No, generally, I mean, you've been talking about that these are realities which you can observe.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who's not a believer in God, how do we explain this concept?
That means they have not observed their surroundings properly. Very simple. if Einstein could say, I could only reach to the limit, and beyond that, it is beyond. It is not. I cannot grasp it. If he can say, therefore, how can a superficial being, that is caused by arrogance, that is caused by ignorance, that is caused by wrong narratives, that is caused by seeing a wrong rituals in people's life, where people say lock, stock, and barrel. Oh, I don't believe all this thing. So how can we take their statement seriously? Why should we be disturbed because of their atheism? Because their atheism is also not deep. If you want to be an atheistic, be like a Sankhya. If you want to be an atheistic, be like Buddhist atheistic, because at least there is some depth. You can debate with them, you can argue with them, but somebody is very superficial. It's an insult for us to even talk about God, because they're not even observing it properly. What is there to, if some comedian, stupid fellow, he talks, he's humorous, but it is illogical. Yes, you will be angry because you love God, but there is nothing to debate with them. If you are a king, if you are an administrator of the head, bring him, give him 2 slaps and tell him not to do it again, because he is not only creating wrong idea, he is brainwashing people. That's what I would do if I am the king. No debate with them. You debate with, we have no problem having a serious atheistic people. We stay with them. We flourish with them. No, absolutely not a problem. India, Brahaspati was one of the teachers of atheistic philosophy, and he continued to, be a Deva Guru also. He was not atheistic, but he wrote a book on atheism. The problem is not atheism. The problem is Rakshasi Vritti. Duryodhan was not a Nastik. He performed Vaishnava Yagya. Pandavas did Rajasuya. He did Vaishnava Yagya. That does not make him, a Nastik or Astik. Beyond Astik and Nastik, he was a trouble to the society.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There's a question by Arvind Ji. He asks that we typically refer to astrology to understand predictable outcomes. So how does one deal with that?
Again, astrology is very simple. It's an indicative science. Sometime, yes, because of overconfidence, because of the mathematical reality, having experienced a lot of success in their prediction, some astrologer can give very, say, no, I tell you, forget about it. I know 1 or 2 astrologer I've heard. About one I know very clearly. He says, I don't believe in God, but he practices Vedic astrology. He considers all the planet to be simply energy. That is true, but there is some representation of that energy also. So therefore, the point is, whether Gita, whether psychology, whether astrology, the same principle as we are talking about. Follow the principle of Nishkama Karma while using all the principle of astrology. Again, because somebody tells you and it doesn't work out, oh, astrology is bogus. Can you imagine how stupid and how ignorant we are? Something did not work for me, and my subjective reality becomes the philosophical reality for others. How can human being be so arrogant, making his experience into a system or a philosophy? Therefore, even if it doesn't work, you understand, okay, I tried my best, but it is beyond me. I'll try again. Not that you slander the whole thing away.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Sureshji has a question. He says, while the discussions appear very convincing and motivating, and they give a proper direction to the mind, in many of the Leelas of God, we hear blind faith of devotees have shown miracles. So how does one reconcile between these two?
So therefore, again, it is not blind faith. They did not pray to God. You don't see movies and say, oh, this is how it happened. Movie does not show you properly what faith is. They have to make faith almost like Rajnikant's movies, physically, from no perspective, scientific. You don't go to, if people go to watch movies to learn something, knowledge, you go there to cry, entertain yourself, not for deep knowledge. It is not possible only, that we can get if you want to study Prahlada's story. You don't get it by watching Telugu movie. You get their entertainment, some feelings, some tears, oh, so nice. But that does not define the real understanding, right? So like Tukaram Maharaj's story, there are books written about, oh, this came, that came, and this happened, and that happened. These are meant for making you feel good about it. But if you have to study Tukaram Maharaj's life from his Abhangas, then you realize that even experiencing miracle was not very cheap. It didn't happen abruptly. You cannot expect miracle. Miracle has to be accidental, unexpected. If you are expecting miracle, that means you are fruity worker. Not typical. I gave this should happen. No. So therefore, we only talk about Pandavas experiencing miracle from Krishna, but we don't experience Krishna not doing anything and giving them human experience. Abhimanyu getting killed, it's a human. Why did Krishna not protect him? But we talk about Parikshit protecting. The devotees talk about Parikshit being protected, and non-devotees speak about Abhimanyu being killed. Right? But they are not conflicting with each other. They have a reality. So if you see, most of the time, Krishna or Lord Ramachandra, they acted almost like a human, even though they are the source of all human beings. And sometimes they exhibited the qualities of, the Supreme Avatar performing their Leela. It is not all the time Leela. It is sometime Leela. It's a harmony between human and divineness. Otherwise, how will you learn the lesson of life?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Sureshji just clarified that he didn't mean blind faith, he just meant complete faith.
Complete faith cannot be without these principles of life. You cannot say complete faith without the principle of human endeavor. That is the word repeatedly spoken in the Vedanta. Read the Bhagavad Gita 18.13, 14, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is the foundation of Vedanta philosophy. Daiva and Purushartha have to go together. And when they talk about the complete faith, that means they have chosen not to be part of this society. They have nothing to care for. Whether death comes, food comes, it doesn't matter to them. But they are like a museum piece whom we worship them in the museum. Wow. They give us the wow factor. They give us the inspiration. But that is not the legacy to live like that. If everybody starts living like that, the world will go into ruination. Therefore, again, Krishna speaks about that in the Gita. If I do not follow my dharma, if I don't act, then the entire world will be put in ruination. Therefore, it talks about yoga. There is the yoga is there, and Shraddha. There are three kinds of Shraddha: the Tamogun Shraddha, Rajogun Shraddha, and Sattvagun Shraddha. The Tamogun Shraddha, the terrorists, the Islamic terrorists, they will themselves. You think that is great? So Shraddha could be dangerous without the proper understanding of the philosophy. You may say, wow, they are willing to blow off. It's not glorification. It should not be glorified just because somebody blows up because of their faith. It's obnoxious. It's horrible. So similarly, when Lord Chaitanya, when he was absorbed in the Lord, he told the student, now I can't teach you. You go to somebody else to learn. He didn't say education is bad. He didn't say don't go to learn anything. He said, I am redundant in regards to this world. I can't teach. Shukadeva Goswami, he did not tell people walk away, just stand somewhere, doodh apne aap aa jayega. There'll be more people would be begging than the milking cows. You know, if you study again, therefore, at some point of time in India, because of large number of people, they started taking to the path of Vairagya. The Buddhist cult came, the Jain cult came, and the people from all communities started becoming monks. And therefore, Chanakya in Arthashastra writes this: when the large number of people start depending upon society in the name of depending upon God, then it creates an imbalance. So therefore, he said, no, who can become sadhus, who cannot become sadhus? So therefore, the faith what Shukdev Goswami, Surdas, Mirabai represented, that cannot be imitated by everybody. We take inspiration from them. Better we follow, Arjuna's inspiration, because it's a harmony between endeavor and faith.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Can we take one last question?
Yeah, last question.
Yeah, this question is from Anita Ji, and she says that some people become successful just by being in the right place at the right time without putting in much effort. How do we understand this? Is it due to karma, past karma?
That's what I think the outlier book, the 4 principle, or Gita, if you want more example, he has put very systematically that the place of action, some other he figured out place of action, then instrument to perform your actions, third, the hard labor for long time, and the opportunities. If somebody gets that, and therefore when we talk about jati, it is much more easier for a daughter or a son of a doctor to become a doctor because the opportunity is much greater. That should not be considered as nepotism. What is nepotism? That you're pushing someone doesn't have a qualification at all, cannot be a doctor. Just because you have a connection, you force them to become doctor. That is a nepotism. And secondly, don't stop others from becoming a doctor. When Karna exhibited, one of the biggest stupidity, where people try to make Karna stories so much dramatic. Oh, the Dronacharya did not teach him, and this person, he was a student. I have written book on Karna on trial. So many places it is proved that he learned from Dronacharya only. Where is the conflict? When Dronacharya did not give him Brahmastra, and not only did not give it to Karna, he refused to give it to son also. So they came and argued, I want. So Drona taught half Brahmastra to Ashwatthama, and Karna decided to go to Parshuramji, not for education, only for Brahmastra. So therefore, when we don't read stories properly, then we create this. Right? So therefore, these 4 things are human endeavor, and their Daiva is also there. So therefore, the 4, again read the 18th chapter, 13, 14, 15. The 5th was also some other integrated in the 4, therefore they became successful.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for introducing the K factor or the G factor or the B factor in our life. Just a few announcements. Prabhuji is starting tomorrow a workshop on Gita summarized, all the 18 chapters in 3 sessions. Tomorrow at 7:15 a.m. as well as on Monday and Tuesday. This is for the benefit of our US friends. And in case you don't land up for this session, we meet on Tuesday on Clubhouse, where we'll be celebrating Gita Jayanti with Prabhuji.
Tomorrow also we are meeting, no?
Yeah, in case we don't meet, we don't meet tomorrow, we meet on Clubhouse on Tuesday at 7 o'clock to discuss the dilemma of good people, wishes or blessings. So we'd like to have you on all these programs. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Good night and Hare Krishna.